Hey, hi everyone. So today we are back with a new video on our channel about mastering the AI agents and one of the key capabilities of the AI agents in today's world. So as you are seeing in today's world around you, as a software engineer, you see different coding agents available like Claude Code, Cursor, GitHub Copilot, and something else as well. With Claude Code or Anthropic coming in with new versions every couple of weeks or every month. So recently, Claude Code released Opus Model 4.7 version, which is actually far more advanced. So over the past few months, so the coding models and all these models which are released by these organizations are getting more advanced, not only in coding but also in the reasoning activities as well. So let's deep dive into it. Some of the concepts of AI agents, which is around skills and when to use agents and when to use skills, just to think about that. So let's think about it. So when you think of AI agent in today's world, you can think of a chatbot, which is actually you go to chatbot, you answer a or you ask a basic question and it answers that. It waits for the next question that you have. So there is no memory, no tooling in between in this chatbot. It is just looking at your question and trying to answer. So this is what the initial chatbot was. So going forward, how the agents are actually going to work. So let's say you have a chatbot behind the scenes, you have an agent for it, and you wanna create a workflow around it, or you wanna create it more intelligent going forward. So you will have to do a planning, use tools, make a decision, or you will have to do all those stuff which a today's agentic chatbot should do. Maybe an year back or so, the chatbots were not that intelligent, but now they are getting more intelligent with the help of agentic capabilities like the agents, tooling, skills, and all that. So that's where they are getting autonomous. They are getting more context aware. They are aware when to use tool and when not to use, and which tools to use, and how many turns they have to use. So they are getting iterative, and they have a complete goal and a scope in mind what they have to do. So they are getting more, I would say, nuanced and knowledge driven, and they know when to stop and when to continue or keep on iterating as well. So now look at the core concept. So all agents are powerful, but they don't understand your environment. Environment means your code base, your conventions, and your goals. So you hire a new developer and you onboard a expert who already understands your code base. So without customization, a generic assistant will actually guess what actually you want it to do. Okay, so you can explore it. It is actually good for exploring. So, okay, but it is not good for production, because in production you should be aware of everything, right? Your environment, your code base, your rules, and all those stuff. But with customization, a team member knows everything: your stack, your style, your standards, and all that. So that's what is actually the core concept, which is customization. Now, with Claude Code, there is a CLI first approach. With Cursor, that is IDE first approach. Although both offers a CLI, but it's about the approach, which is actually the master approach which they started with. Cloud Code initially started with CLI, and CLI gives them a good way of going to the terminal and doing the multi-step autonomous execution, which is actually good for a long-running task, and you want to do the automation itself by controlling your environment accesses also very deeply. Whereas Cursor is actually more like an assistant because it's an IDE driven. Now, there are something like context which you have to give. So what kind of context you will give to these agents? You can give rules. You can tell them that this is my rule book. For example, you're working on a Python project. You can tell that these are my rules and so on, so on. You can review these rules while you're generating the code, and same for other languages also. As you can see below, I have mentioned some of the rules, standard lines which you can use actually. So then we have dynamic skills. So dynamic skills are loaded only when it is relevant, like a specialist consultant. For example, you are a DevOps guy, so you want to do the prod delivery. But for prod delivery, what all things you need? You need some commands to execute, you need some toolings to connect and execute all those stuff. So that's where dynamic skills comes in. That's where your rules may not help you much. Rules will actually lay a ground on what to do and what checkbooks to follow. But by following that, what all steps to execute to achieve your specialized task. That's what your skills actually complement and help you. Now, when to use skills? So that's where the major question come from by audience as well when I'm talking to different associates and different customers also. So skills is what is the newly, not newly, I would say it's now for quite some time in this world. Sorry. So in this skills, what actually do? Skills are loaded when the relevant task is at hand. For example, I was talking about the production deployment. So whenever you say to an agent that I want to do a custom deployment or a deployment, do a deployment for me. Now agent doesn't know how to do it in your environment. That's where your skills will actually guide the agent on how to do it. So it's a domain, which is a deployment. You have a process to follow, which is a domain that you will guide to it. Then it's a workflow. What workflow to follow? For example, you have to trigger a GitHub action, then you have to create your Docker image, then you have to deploy it, then you have to deploy that, scan it, and then you have to deploy that image on some of the cluster of environments that you have. This is actually a workflow. And then each of the workflow has some executable scripts that it has to execute as well to achieve that task. That's where your scripts comes in. So your skill can be a plain natural language file also. It can be a script file also, which you can execute as it is. So don't think like skill can be a natural language only and it can't do anything else, but it can be a script file also. So advanced customizations. Apart from skills, what all you can do in your agentic uh, assistants or the coding tools that we have. So you can have the sub agents which are actually doing a focused task in their own context window, which is actually parallelly working on something else, which is actually not correlated in some way, but they have their own context window. They are researching, they are coming with something like that, and they are whatever. Then you have hooks. Hooks is nothing but actually those are events. So whenever you use these tools, you enter a prompt, you do enter, and then after that, a lot of processing happens. The agent goes to LLM and it sends all the tools, skills, and all that. Then LLM decides to use this and this should be the workflow and all that, and then you start executing it. So after you go to LLM, you come back, you execute the tools, you get the response, whether it is fail or success, whatever it is. Then you decide and go back to LLM again. So LLM tells you, no, this response is not correct, go to this tool and all that. So this is actually a lot of turns are happening. You are calling LLMs multiple times and coming back and forth and happening. So all these events which you are going from step 1 to 2, or at all these steps, multiple events are getting uh, in I would say released from these AI agents, which you can actually intercept and do whatever automation you want to do on top of it. For example, your LLM told use this tool. So before using the tool, you can have a hook which will actually validate whether you are good to use this tool or not, whether it is secured enough or not, something like that. And you can track your telemetry usage also, whether your team is using this agents or not, something like that. So these are some of the high level usages of sub agents and hooks as well. Now we talk about power of agents MD and cursor rules. So agents MD is basically I would say it understands your project architecture, it understands your project workflow, rules and standards, and it actually understands which all different folders contains what type of files actually. So you have a directory. So you can keep multiple agents MD files in your project. You can have it the root folder. You can have it the project level. You can have in the sub folders also. So for example, you have 10 level nesting in your project. So you can have agents MD file in all those 10 folders as well. So that's where those 10 folders will have separate content in agents MD file based on the content which is placed in that 10 folders. So you can put the content inside that agent MD file, like these are the 10 files which are used for so and so purposes. These files contains these logic. These are the core logics that are used for any of these such changes and all that. This is the core logic which is used in this area and all that. So you can mention that. So the benefit is, so for example, tomorrow I want to do a certain task which may need some expertise, or if let's say certain level of folders files if given directly to Claude Code or maybe any other assistant, they can quickly solve your problem. Otherwise, they will have to go and search through the entire code and try and understand how you work and how you do all those things. That's where your token usage will also get reduced. It will benefit in your context window as well. That's where agent summary file is very important. Now you keep it at multiple project level folders or you keep it at root folder. That's up to you. You can try and keep that in root folder and then in the sub projects also, and see the differences, how the outcome difference comes to you. Then same with the cursor rules as well. So cursor rules basically gives you the same level of, I would say, knowledge which you put in agent MD file. You can either use cursor rules or you can use agent MD file. I personally prefer agent MD file because that's what the industry's norm and the standard. Every agent is actually moving in that direction, so prefer using that actually. Now, the real world impact from basic prompting to autonomous workflow. So, we talked about different things till now. We talked about since start of this video. We talked about the how an agent works, how the customization actually makes the agent more powerful in today's world rather than 1 year back. So, what kind of customizations we can use? Two rules. We can use skills. We can use sub agents, hooks, agent summary, and cursor rules. So after adding all this stuff, which is actually making your agent more powerful, that's what we are talking about right now. After using all these things, your agent is becoming proactive. Now, before what happens is basic auto completion, reactive responses, manual reviews, output was inconsistent. Okay, because as you understand, you don't have your agent didn't have the capability of using the effective tools, figuring out what actually was there in the code and all that. So that's what before. Now, after changing all this, your agent is more powerful. It knows about your standards, it knows about your workflow, it knows about your environment, and it knows what you want, and it knows your workflow, and it can do all those stuffs autonomously as well, provided you define those required structure in your project as well. So that's why all these things that we have talked about is very important. Now, so this is the journey from learner to AI architect. You understand the core concepts first. You try the agent summary file, which I mentioned, add the sub agents and hooks, then try an autonomous workflow in your entire setup. So this is what is actually there for today's content. So so the objective of this video was not to actually highlight specifically on one topic. Rather, it was to touch base on why all these things are necessary to make your AI agent an intelligent one. Now, going forward, what will happen is we will publish video on, let's say, skills. What kind of skills you should use? Why you should use skills rather than agents? Like in some cases, what happens is people use multiple agents in their workflows, and at some point of time, their agents are so much that they are confused which AI agents to use and which not to use. So that's where we will understand that why skills are more important to make your entire workflow, and how to make your agents more domain specific rather than making different agents for a separate domain as a separate files itself. So that's what we will demystify and discuss in the next video. So for this video, this much is the only content. I hope you like our content, and do like and share our videos. Do subscribe to the channel. It will not do much. It will, if you subscribe to our channel, it will help us a lot, and it will not take anything from you, but it will help us a lot in publishing the videos. So thanks a lot, everyone. Keep watching the channel. Thank you. Bye.